Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. The Curse of Oak Island. The drill hovers over the Chappell Vault, and there's a new structure in the swamp. The Curse of Oak Island team believes the Chappell Vault is buried in the Money Pit area at a depth of 180 feet, and they know exactly where to dig. The guys have also uncovered a structure in the swamp they suspect may be a dam. This week on Oak Island, there were beaming smiles all around the war room as geologist Terry Matheson had some major news. Terry looked delighted to be in the war room, and it wasn't just because this was a rare foray indoors for him. He suspects they've finally found the elusive Chappell Vault. A few weeks ago, we all learned the results of the Muon tomography survey, which involved buried sonar devices mapping the underground area of the island. The detectors spent 2 years detecting various areas of low density, which could contain voids or containers, such as treasure chests. The survey highlighted 3 areas of particular interest, one of which was Aladdin's Cave and another spot about 60 feet southwest of the garden shaft. The second area involves an anomaly or void at about 180 feet below, and last night, the borehole drill team focused their attention on this spot. This area is exciting because back in 2017, the guys drilled a large caisson, called H8, into this zone while searching for the Chappell Vault. At the time, they hit an object at about 170 feet. However, during the night, the material inside the caisson, the plug, collapsed, pushing the object deeper and causing the guys to abandon the search. Muon technology and borehole drilling indicate they found the Chappell Vault. The drill team hit a void at 183 feet on last night's show. Terry and surveyor Steve Guptill agreed that this void, detected by the Muon technology, likely encapsulates the Chappell Vault. Terry believes that their borehole drill is now posed over this mysterious object that could be the Chappell Vault. Last week, Marty Lagina decided they should bring in caissons to fully excavate Aladdin's Cave, and caissons were again mentioned about this new site. So viewers can assume a massive dig will soon be on the cards. This area below 180 feet is new territory for the guys, but they are now armed with some pretty clear data, so they only need to dig. A new structure, possibly a dam, is uncovered in the Oak Island swamp. Elsewhere on the island, Billy Gerhardt, Gary Drayton, and Jack Begley dug in the swamp's southwest corner when Billy's digger scrapped away some soil to reveal a brand new wooden structure. These chunky wooden beams were placed at the swamp's edge, right by the sea. This led Gary and the guys to speculate that they had found Fred Nolan's wall. In 1969, Fred found evidence of a wall at the end of the swamp, which he believed may have been a dam. This added to the evidence that made him theorize the swamp was human-made. This theory suggests the swamp was deliberately constructed to conceal something important, such as a buried ship. This was a great episode with lots of new information and some very significant finds. As Gary said at the end, it was an amazing day of recoveries and discoveries. The drill hovered over the Chappell Vault, suspended in time and anticipation. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows over the barren land that had been torn apart by years of digging, prodding, and endless searching. Below the surface, history whispered its secrets, just out of reach as the drilling team prepared to breach what they believed could be the most significant discovery yet. Rick Lagina stood at the edge of the pit, his eyes narrowed against the harsh glare of the machinery's lights. His heart raced as the rumble of the drill began again, vibrating through the earth. Beside him, his brother Marty rubbed his chin, deep in thought, though excitement flickered behind his analytical gaze. For years they had been chasing the legends and rumors of untold wealth, hidden by centuries of time and nature's hand. The Chappell Vault, the elusive chamber first suspected in 1897, was a point of obsession. But now, standing on the precipice of either triumph or disappointment, the air felt heavier than ever. "I have a good feeling about this one," Rick murmured, more to himself than to anyone else. Marty gave a sideways glance. "You always do, brother. Let's hope this one lives up to it." As the drill ground deeper, cutting through layers of dirt and stone, the sound of scraping metal and shifting rock echoed in their ears. Every inch closer felt like a leap toward destiny. The crew worked methodically, checking readings, analyzing soil samples, and monitoring the tension in the cables. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath, waiting for what would come next. Suddenly, the drill hit something different, a solid resistance that wasn't mere earth or stone. The vibrations shifted, and the operators exchanged glances. A low murmur spread among the crew as the realization settled in. They had struck something large. "It's the vault," Rick whispered, his voice laced with awe. "It has to be." The team scrambled to secure the site. If this truly was the Chappell vault, they had to proceed with caution. There was no telling what lay inside: treasure, artifacts, or perhaps traps designed to thwart even the cleverest of fortune seekers. The legends surrounding Oak Island were as old as the hunt itself, and every step was shrouded in both promise and peril. Meanwhile, off to the west, another discovery was unfolding, one that seemed just as tantalizing. In the swamp, a new structure had emerged. Craig Tester stood at the edge of the murky waters, gazing at the curious formation that had come into view after a recent draining of the area. Wooden beams, arranged in a pattern far too deliberate to be natural, jutted out from the mud like the bones of a long-buried shipwreck. But this wasn't a ship, at least not in the traditional sense. "Doesn't look like anything we've seen before," Craig muttered to Jack Begley, who was carefully taking photographs. "No, it doesn't," Jack agreed. "But the way it's laid out, it almost looks like a dock, or maybe a slipway." The possibility hung in the air, electrifying the team. For years, the swamp had been a source of mystery. Some believed it to be an artificially created area, flooded deliberately to conceal something significant. Others thought it might hold the remnants of an ancient civilization, a secret stronghold, or even part of a grand treasure-hiding scheme. As Craig and Jack examined the beams, they realized that this structure was different from anything they had unearthed before. The craftsmanship was ancient yet precise. Whoever had built it had done so with great care, and for a purpose that was still unknown. The timbers were too well preserved to be dismissed as mere debris, but what were they, and how did they tie into the endless web of mysteries that Oak Island spun? "I think we've stumbled onto something big," Craig said, his voice low but steady. Jack nodded, his camera still clicking away. "Could be the key to everything. The timing's too perfect, you know." The vault, and now this. Back at the Chappell vault site, the atmosphere had grown tense. The drill had broken through what seemed to be the outer shell of the vault, and a strange, pungent smell had begun to waft up from the depths. Rick's heart pounded in his chest as he watched the team lower cameras into the newly bored hole. The grainy footage flickered on the screen, revealing glimpses of stone walls, carved with markings that were hard to make out through the dust and darkness. "What do you make of those?" Marty asked, leaning closer to the monitor. "Not sure," Rick replied, his brow furrowed. "Could be symbols. Maybe a warning or directions."